Hey, Drew, man.
Yo, Brad.
So tell me about, can you name a football team that doesn't need its head coach to be the top 25 ranked team in a rivalry game at home by 4 touchdowns?
I mean, I could come up with a short list, but I've got one in mind.
Well, who would that be?
That would be the number one team in the country, the Alabama Crimson Tide.
And there goes our entire Iron Bowl analysis for the week.
You know, Early, sometimes them football boosters will provide your family with a car or even house if you keep nice and quiet about it. They're gonna do what now?
Welcome to the place where if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying is a way of life.
Just keep it down home, Gus.
Where degenerate gamblers can congregate in peace.
Money, yeah. Money, yeah.
Where screaming at 20-year-old kids on a TV is just another Saturday.
Every fiber in your bone, and you take it and you beat the piss out of them. I'm talking about beat the piss out of them. Let's go whip their ass. Let's go.
Where game days don't end until the Rainbow Warriors say so.
It hits the upright. Oh my God! It hits the left upright. It hits the left upright.
They are the bagmen that Danny Sheridan never found.
I went to him with a strong-ass offer.
And it all comes to you with a splash of bourbon on the side. Woo! This is the Friends of the Program podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into yet another episode of the Friends of the Program podcast. I'm Brad. He's Drew, as we are happy to have you back. Hope you had a very nice, safe, yummy Thanksgiving and enjoyed some all-in pretty bad football last week in the college football world. The Egg Bowl delivered. It wasn't on TV, it was on TV, just not saw it, but it was decent.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I watched pretty much the second quarter on.
Yeah, Texas and Iowa State was entertaining, I guess, if you want to go there. But outside of that, Penn State and Michigan was funny.
Oregon State was fun.
Yeah, that was
if
good.
You could see it.
Yeah, that was fun. So
literally, it was on ESPN.
If you could
really see it.
Yeah, there was a lot of fog there. Anyway, kind of a rough week last week, but a lot of news has kind of come out. Cancellations, speculation, major personalities opening their mouths and saying things that are probably true, but you shouldn't really say on ESPN that we got to talk about. So we'll get into all that. But first, make sure you can always follow us on Twitter at FOT Podcast. Same on Instagram at FOT Podcast. Search us on YouTube by following, subscribing, and all that good stuff on Friends of the Program. And do the same via Spotify and iTunes. Drew, what you got tonight for imbibements?
Well, tonight we will be. I know you're not a fan of this particular maker. It's something I've had before, but after watching last week and what I'm kind of hoping that all the smoke that I'm starting to hear from a school down south of me keeps spewing out. I don't know if it's just people wanting to play with my emotions or not, but I hope things are knocking on heaven's door.
We're gonna have to get back to that because you might be hearing things I am not hearing.
Again, not completely reliable sources, but people that I would go, oh, okay.
People are not happy so much. Okay.
I'm hearing that people might not be pleased, especially. Let's just say this: I had heard that when Will Muschamp was heading to Oxford for the game with Ole Miss, I was told there's nothing happening right now. There's no smoke. Don't worry about it. But if Lang hangs a number on Will, things could get nasty. I'm starting to hear similar things this weekend.
The Vandy job is open. I'm just saying. You can help him move.
Don't get me wrong. I'd be happy to do the moving duties. The muscles are ready. I can socially distance. I've got I move boxes at work. I can do that.
Drew's gonna help the Gus bus move into what's the really nice neighborhood south of the town there?
Yeah, in the Brentwood Governor's Club area,
right around there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've gone the Breckenridge Vanilla Porter route tonight.
Yeah, solid.
little roasted malt, little vanilla taste.
Solid.
It's, holiday timeline. It feels right to drink
Very good.
Breckenridge.
Yeah.
All right, so we hit in the opener about Iron Bowl analysis. Of course, we're Auburn people. We told that before. It's not a secret on the program. It was a bad game.
Terrible.
We both expected to lose. I don't think either one of us thought that the coaching staff would throw the towel in the first drive of the game, which is kind of what I felt happened.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first to tell you, I don't care if we lose to Alabama necessarily because they're the best team in the country.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're supposed to lose to the number one team in the country. That's why they're number one.
Okay, I can live with that.
Sure.
What I can't live with is running the ball up the middle on 2nd and 13 repeatedly.
Yeah.
That's I go back to because I hear outside voices all the time saying who does better against Saban than Gus Malzahn. And we're not going to spend much time on the Iron Bowl, folks. There's some interesting things I want to get on.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that this point is out there because I think it's very simplistic to go, well, Gus has more wins against Nick Saban than anybody in the SEC without thinking about a couple of things. One, Gus Malzahn's winless on the road in 8 years against Alabama, Georgia, and LSU. 8 years.
Correct. Not
a single win across those three teams. And those are the three teams that you benchmark yourself against every year if you're Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Only 2 of those losses have been by 1 score.
Yep.
Everything else is 11 points or more.
Which, sadly, last year's LSU game is one of those.
Yeah. No. Last year was a 3-point game. Or you mean one of the 2?
It's just a 1-score game. One of the 2 losses was LSU.
There's 3. There's 3 1-score losses, actually. There's that one. There's the LSU game that Auburn flat out blew after getting up 20-0.
2017.
2016 Georgia, which was a 13-7 game. Neither team could move the ball. It was awful, awful football. So those are the 3, though. Every other game has been double digits. I'll give you a pass on the 2014 Iron Bowl because that was wild back and forth. I can kind of give you a pass on that one. The others flat out were not competitive. So I think when you hear Auburn fans, like Drew was talking about a minute ago, of hearing rumblings about maybe there's some anger at Gus, this is what it's about. It's not about, well, he wins the Iron Bowl occasionally. It's legitimately about, one, recruiting is starting to hurt. And if you look at the roster construction, the lines especially are really hurting on the offensive line. And if you know his offense, if you don't have a good offensive line, that offense don't work. That offense don't work, period.
It's done.
2, it's non-competitiveness against your big rivalries. Overall winning percentage against those 3 teams is only 33%, even if you throw in the home games. Actually less than that now after the loss this past week. And then 3, with a game like last week in the Iron Bowl, we all pretty much knew Auburn was going to lose. Okay, fine. It's a 25-point spread. Yeah, we're going to lose that football game. No big deal. But what you didn't see was what you saw in 1998, in 1999, in 2009, when Auburn came in big underdogs and fought their ass off for 4 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
You might lose the game. That's fine. But you showed some pride, and you showed like you were there trying to win a football game and that you were throwing the kitchen sink at Alabama. I go back to 2009 because that was Gus's first year on the Plains as an offensive coordinator. I was at that game. I think you were too. And
I was in the studio, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I remember just throwing everything possible at that Nick Saban national championship football team. And Saban and Steen needing a touchdown with 1 minute and 20 seconds on the clock on a pick play to win that football game. Yep. And I haven't seen anything like that when Auburn's been a big underdog since. And that, I think, is what is starting to really gnaw at Auburn fans after seeing this year after year. So I want to throw that out there to people who aren't as close to the program and follow it like we do. Get beyond the top line. Start really digging into what we're seeing. 7-5, 8-4, 9-3, like last year. Okay, but it's not cutting it.
The other thing is my dad. I think I went back, and my dad's also a big Auburn fan. Brad, you know him very well. he ran into some. I don't think he's watched an Iron Bowl live since 1997. His heart just can't take it. His heart, his stomach, he just can't sit through it. And literally, his heart couldn't take it this past week because he had to go to the ER after some tight chest tightness. But he's good now. So, so he didn't get to. He got to watch. They had it on in the ER. Which why would you do that? You're trying to make sick people sicker.
Yeah, they're going to bore people. It's fine.
Yeah, it would just put them to sleep. So he got to see until it was 7-0. I think that was midway through the first quarter or late into the first quarter. So he didn't know anything else after that. He had just seen a couple of Auburn offensive drives. But in his words, he said, "Did that continue throughout the game?" And I said, "Absolutely, it did. We played scared. We as in Auburn. Auburn played scared." And he said, "Yep, that's what I expected." It's a replay of 1974 through 1980. And he said, and that was the low point of the Auburn, the modern era of Auburn football, the Doug Barfield years. Which that's no criticism on Doug Barfield. It's just what
you got to go back to the early 50s to find a worse era than that.
Yeah, you're talking late 1940s, right after World War II.
Early 50s, Auburn went winless for like a year or two. Like it was right in that range.
51. I know
it was
in
1951 was winless.
The series resumed in 48. Auburn beat Alabama in 49. 1950, Auburn was winless, and that's what brought in Ralph Shug-Jordan.
Yeah.
So
I couldn't quite hear you.
Prior to that,
thank you, Siri.
What are you doing? So prior to, but if we fast forward now, 1974-ish, when Ralph Shug-Jordan resigned, I want to say 74 or 75 was this last year. I think 75.
75.
Yep. Through to 1980, the year before Dye got to Auburn, those were some dead years for Auburn. Just if you go back and look at the schedule,
it was bad.
I think they had one winning season. They beat Georgia out of nowhere in Athens. That, as my dad said, allowed him to go outside and show his face. But the games against Alabama were 20-point beatings, 28-7, which 28 points back then was a ton. Those are the kind of, in the words of my father, who saw those games and lived through those games, that's the Auburn team that he saw play this past Saturday. One that was not interested in playing Alabama, which this Auburn team was not interested in doing at all. And that's the thing that's going to irk the big money donors that are sitting on the $21 million that it will take in 2 weeks.
Well,
a minute after the Mississippi State game to get Gus out.
I think his buyout contractually went down yesterday on 12-1.
I believe you're correct.
I think 12-1 contractually the buyout went down.
As I was saying that, I went, wait a minute, it's 12-2. It's since you're an Auburn person as well, happy first time ever day.
Oh, yeah.
But since it's 12-2, I actually believe you're correct. Via the contract, I always say it's after the final regular season game, which a normal season would be the Alabama game. But I think you're actually correct. It is 12-1. So right now, as we sit here today, it's $21 million, which that's a big, big number. But you lose by, well, I don't even know. I can't even do the math real quick in my head. After you take what you saw, where literally was done, you can say when Seth Williams dropped the touchdown pass, but it was over
before that.
But you can pinpoint that and go, it's over now, which is when I flipped over to the Egg Bowl and had a much better Saturday afternoon. Then it's going to be things like that and the roster management and just being Gus, which Gus is a nice guy. And it's a lot like when people talk politics with me, I've been pulling for the person in charge. I've been pulling for Gus. I don't get the results.
Yeah, and this is the kind of job. I heard a rumor recently that everybody wants Matt Campbell. Matt Campbell's the hot name. he may not be interested in necessarily leaving Ames quickly because he apparently likes the challenge of taking 3 stars and whipping 5 stars asses on the field.
Well,
he kind of likes the life in Ames that he has. And unless he's going to take a Notre Dame or something like that, I don't know that he's going to go. So I look at somebody like a Matt Campbell and hear that attitude. That is the exact attitude you have to have to coach and win at Auburn. But you have to also understand that you can get 4 and 5 stars. You're not playing with just 3 stars. You can get talent. But you have to have that us against the world, I need to be better than you, I need to coach harder than you attitude, or you will get crushed. And I haven't seen that out of our offensive coaching staff. And I say offensive because defensive, honestly, the last few years, I can't complain. They've been fine. We had 2 first-round draft, or 2 picks in the first 2 rounds last year alone. Okay. No complaints.
2 first rounders was big, but
we actually had 3 in the first 2 rounds. I forgot about Iggy. So that's the sidebar there. If we hear more, obviously we both have friends. Yeah, finish up. We both have friends in the program that we hear things from. If we hear more we'll try to say what we can. But apparently, there's some smoke that I didn't know about.
And by smoke I mean very, very light, like literally
just kind of lighten the barbecue slowly. Yeah.
The little stick is still going back and forth really quickly, and somebody's blowing on it. Somebody did this to me the other day, and I literally had bile in my mouth. Take away the history. Wash away history.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between the Auburn job and the South Carolina job right now?
Oh, God. Oh.
You have a team across
maybe a better recruiting base, but that's about it.
Really and truly, is South Carolina that better than Alabama?
High school football in Alabama is better than South Carolina.
I can agree with that, but I'm just talking about pure talent.
And you have a bigger proximity to Florida, particularly the Panhandle area.
Okay, let me do this. Which would you rather have in your home state that you have to battle for those talented players, Alabama or Clemson? Doesn't that make you feel bad? That makes me.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know which one I'd rather deal with.
I don't either, and that's what's the sad part.
I saw something yesterday. The Everyday Should Be Saturday guys kind of threw it out there. The Moon Crew now, that's what they go by.
Yeah.
The most genius thing South Carolina fans could do to get Clemson knocked back down is to start funneling money to Florida State.
Now that is a true statement. And not only that, but you knock down Clemson and you knock down Florida at the same time.
Yeah. I was like, that's not a bad idea, actually. If you want to think about this.
For Auburn fans, what are you going to do? Give money to Georgia Tech? Georgia fans don't give a crap. You can't give it to Florida. I mean, literally, that would help out Auburn fans just as much, just because you would get to see Florida every now and then.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Anyway, moving on. We got to talk about Kirk Herbstreit. So I love Herbie as an analyst. I think he's fantastic. Guy breaks down a game. He's always been very fair with the way he talks about it too, which I really appreciate. Kind of opened his mouth a little bit yesterday and said something that I think is true, but he can't really say, and he had to go apologize for it. And if you missed it, folks, during the ranking show last night, and we're recording this on Wednesday night right now, so this would have been Tuesday. Kirk basically said, what if Michigan and Florida State and other schools are out there canceling games just because they want to avoid embarrassment of losing?
Yeah.
And on Michigan's part, because I don't doubt for a second that they're this petty. Understand.
Done that.
Huh?
I actually wish Auburn would have done this.
Well, also understand, Ohio State with one more game cancellation does not qualify for the Big Ten championship. Okay? Somebody saw this and got 40-1 on Indiana the other day when I saw that Indiana or Ohio State was canceling game number 2, knowing they just needed one more cancellation.
Yes, sir.
Indiana 40-1 to win the Big Ten the other day. Yeah, we jumped on that one real fast.
Yeah,
just in case. It's worth it.
It's worth the $5.
It's worth $5.
Now, by the way, they have taken that down now. There's no betting on the Big Ten champion.
Mine's still locked in.
No, I know. But as far as new money coming in, locked out.
Anyway, Ohio State. I lived in Michigan, folks. I can see them being petty enough. Like, we're sick. We can't do anything. For the protection of our university and our players and to keep everybody healthy, we need to not play this game against Ohio State. Just to keep them out of a Big Ten championship. I can 100% see that happening, and bravo, let it happen. Let it happen. So I get the backlash on Herbie because he's openly impugning other schools' reputation, and I'm sure they don't want to hear that. Like, they hear recruiting, things like that. But there's a modicum of truth there, Drew. I think there's a little bit of truth there.
This is what I've had to I've just had to not deal with, because that's the wrong word, but you have to meet people somewhere in the middle on things. I totally agree that there's a modicum of truth. It just looks real bad when two of your sons go to Clemson.
Oh, yeah.
And you're backing up Dabo and what he said about Florida State ducking folk.
And your degree happens to be from Ohio State.
And then you turn it around and your degree happens to be from Ohio State. You happen to be a quarterback, and you happen to be the czar, kind of the mouthpiece of college football for ESPN.
Which is funny because he got ran out of Columbus.
Yeah. No, he used to be like the sports guy, and he
lived in Columbus long after he did Game Day. And then he said so many things that people there weren't happy about because he was being honest in his analysis that he moved to Nashville.
Yeah, now he just lives right down the road from me because nobody cares about college football in Nashville. Vanderbilt didn't. So no, it's just a bad look, and it's, well, in my head, as much as people talk about SEC bias and ESPN pushing forward the SEC bias. I feel like when you look across the Game Day set up until this year, because David Pollock's kind of taken over for Lee Corso, you have, I get it, the Sunshine Scooter from Florida State, former Indiana football coach Lee Corso, former Ohio State quarterback in Kirk Herbstreit, and former Heisman Trophy winner at Michigan, Desmond Howard. That's a whole lot of Big Ten up there on that stage for an SEC bias. And I agree that sometimes the SEC takes over. God forbid they have a good football program or five. But it's for the first time since I've been watching Herbie, and I don't always agree with his takes. I like his analysis and play breakdown and everything like that. But there's just sometimes where I'm like, back away. This is one of the first times that I can remember where I've gone, wow, that's a real Homer take from a guy that really isn't that Homer.
No, he's not.
So while again, it's I kind of wish that when people put up the tweet of what happened on the CFP playoff reveal top 25, please watch us so we can get more ratings and commercial dollars show, that they would have, at the bottom of the screen, Twitter would have just like run in and said, this comment is disputed because we can't really do that. But because I just would have giggled. But no, he's not wrong. But you can't say that from the seat that you sit in.
But it does bring up an interesting dilemma. Let's say, for the sake of argument, Ohio State doesn't get enough games into play. There's still speculation they may not play this week against Michigan State because Ohio State may not be out of the woods yet for this week.
Still watch. I think that they're going to get some recreation league guys to come out.
They're going to try to play, but if they don't have everybody, just don't sleep on that football game because Michigan State came out last week and did some work.
Can I do a little preview? That's my.
If you would like,
I'm going to do that one.
Don't. The reason I say let's hypothetical here.
Yeah.
What do you do with Ohio State if they don't play in the Big Ten championship game, but they're still undefeated? Do you put them in the playoff? Are they the 4?
No.
But who do you put above them?
Texas A&M.
What if A&M loses this week?
They ain't gonna be losing this week. Now calm down. I know that you're doing hypothetical. If you do that hypothetical, and that's a big old grain of salt that you're taking.
I don't think it is.
I do. That ain't happening. No. I get it. Your math is correct in that this is a Gus saving job. Kellen Mond's on the field, and Texas A&M can't blow out anybody.
And it's a home game.
No, that ain't happening. Not this week. I think this team is circling. But let's just take that hypothetical. Let's just play the game. Then in that case, it's Cincinnati.
I would like to think so.
That's who I would put in because I can't take a team because Michigan's not. I'm not sure if Michigan's going to play next week. That's what I'm more concerned about, really, for Ohio State.
Oh, I don't think they will. I'm convinced that game is not going to be played, and I'm convinced they get Indiana and Northwestern in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're wrong.
And if I was smarter, I would have played Northwestern to win the Big Ten too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Take an Ohio State team, no matter how good they are, at 4-0, when I've got what will be, in my opinion, a 10-0 or a 9-0 Cincinnati team.
The only way it gets clean, I think, is if Florida pulls the upset on Alabama. That's the only way it's clean because then you have the argument of Florida in and Bama in, playing full 10-game, 11-game schedules.
Yeah. Now, if that happens, or in that situation, it would be that because then even if Clemson lost again.
Well, yeah. Now I am assuming Clemson beats Notre Dame. That still is up in the air.
But then the argument becomes, for me, then it becomes a 3-team argument. It becomes if Texas A&M hasn't lost, Cincinnati. If Texas A&M hasn't lost, Cincinnati actually is a 4-team. Ohio State and Clemson. If Clemson loses to Notre Dame. And then you've got Alabama, Notre Dame, and then you're talking about 2 spots.
I don't know. I think the committee will find a way to put Ohio State in if they can. I'm fully convinced they will.
It's probably the right call for pure talent, which is all we really have to go on this year.
Yeah.
And again, I agree with him because he's a smart man and a good coach, even though he didn't have to do anything this past Saturday. Nick Saban said this is going to be the toughest year for the committee to break down teams because you literally can't do the eye test. You can do the eye test, but you literally can't. Or the comparison tests on teams around college football because you don't have those intersectional games. Yeah. You don't really have a whole lot to go on. The question for me is, does my sample size with Ohio State, who had a big lead on Indiana and then gave it up the last time I saw them, needed to pick 6 to beat Indiana at home?
They haven't looked dominant this year. Even earlier in the season, they struggled against Nebraska at the beginning of the season.
Exactly. So, and I mean, you saw Ryan Day having to apologize for going for an extra touchdown on Nebraska, because he had to have it because he needed those style points just in case this happened, and it's happening.
All right, one other shift real quick in conversation. I want to bring it here to Big 12 country, specifically to Austin, because we have this conversation every week. Who gets fired first?
Mm-hmm.
Does Tom Herman sneak back up in the lead? What I've been saying all year, he's probably gone first over Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh loses to Penn State last week at home.
Winless Penn State did not let me down. He did not let me down.
But Tom Herman loses at home to Iowa State.
who is going to play for the Big 12 championship.
Okay. Tom Herman's team bungled the final drive of the game.
Led for 59 minutes.
Okay. And now there is talk down here, Drew, that one Mr. Urban Meyer's wife may be looking for houses.
Here we are. We've made it to this point of the season.
It is college football. Oh, I've already seen like flight trackers tracking from LA to Austin back to Columbus. And it's great.
Oh, give it all to me.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what I think from here in Austin. I think Herman's done. I think
you really do? You think he's already...
I think he's done. I think the fan base is done. I think there's a growing realization he's not the answer here. Not making the Big 12 championship game this year of all years seems just like a huge miss for him. And they're not getting better. This is a team 2 years ago that won the Sugar Bowl.
Yep.
And they've gotten worse.
Texas is back.
Yeah. And that was still a 4-loss football team. Let's not forget that. That was still a 10-4 football team.
They beat a Georgia team that just didn't want to be there.
Exactly. So I think into the regular season, interim coach for whatever bowl game they play in, Tom Herman's out of here. The question is, who do they get? Because I know the pipe dream around here is Urban Meyer. That is 100% the pipe dream. Everybody wants Urban. That's the train around here. Go get Urban Meyer. I'm not convinced Urban's leaving television. I think he likes it.
No.
I think he gets paid enough. I don't know that he's got the itch to coach. But is the right hire the guy that just beat them if they can convince him to leave Ames?
No, you can't do that. You can't say just a moment ago that he's not coming to Auburn, but he'll go to the 40 acres.
I'm not saying he would.
Okay.
I'm saying, do you try to throw the kitchen sink at him?
I mean,
because I would. He's already proven he can win in this conference.
It's true.
And now you're giving him the option to get better recruiting at Texas? If I'm Texas, if I'm the administration here in Austin, my first call, if Urban says no, and I get it, you've got to call Urban. I understand that. My first call is to Ames. Now, the other name I've seen pop up, you're going to laugh your butt off at this one. Just take a guess.
I know who popped into my head as somebody who would be a lot of fun to see in Austin.
Go ahead.
Lane Kiffin.
The other name I've seen pop up is Dan Mullen. And folks, if there's a school out there that can pry a coach away because of money, it's Texas. They will outbid Florida in a heartbeat.
And do it laughing.
Yeah. Now, traditionally, Texas does not like to pay coaches. They don't like.
That's the one thing that they don't do, but they can do.
But I think they're getting to a point that they want to because they're not winning.
Well, and here's the other thing.
And if you're Dan Mullen,
I'm doing that.
Why wouldn't you?
I really like Scott Strickland if I'm Dan Mullen, who's the AD at Florida, because he was the AD at Mississippi State. There's less pressure. You don't have to worry about all that recruiting crap in the SEC.
You don't have Georgia in your division. You don't have Alabama
waiting on you.
You don't have LSU on your schedule every year.
Or Auburn if they can ever get their head on right. You don't have to worry about Tennessee, who's middling around, and I don't know what they're going to do. You just have to beat Oklahoma. Yeah, you beat Oklahoma, and you keep your nose clean. You kind of beat up a scrappy Iowa State team. No, that right now, and here's the other thing that I'll put out for paying coaches. Look over across the way in the SEC at Texas A&M. They just hung $77 million on Jimbo, and that's starting to work.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of how paper tiger we think Texas A&M is, it's starting to work.
They're at worst going to go 8-2 this year. At worst,
yeah, at worst, because after Auburn they have Tennessee, and Tennessee ain't touching them. So you're talking about an 8-2 football team. They're 6-1, number 5 in the country. If anybody gets a sniffle, literally looking at you, Ohio State, Texas A&M is going to be number 4 next week, in my opinion, if they get the win, which I think is going to happen.
I mean, the Urban stuff is interesting.
It's fun. It's interesting. It's Bob Stoops coming in anywhere. Yada yada.
Urban Light is literally Dan Mullen, and he's shown he can win.
What do you remember?
Because that Florida program was not great when he took over a few years ago.
No, but I'll even do this to you. Mullen took over the Mississippi State job from Sylvester Croom in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
When did Florida begin to downtick?
Right around that time, 2010, 2009, 2010.
There are a lot of people in Gainesville that say when Dan left, he took the offense with him. So, even though Urban, there are a lot of theories that I have about Urban Meyer that he strikes while the iron's hot and while it's advantageous to him. He's very to take us back a few years ago. Your favorite pro wrestler was Edge, and he was the ultimate opportunist. That's Urban Meyer, the ultimate opportunist. He went to the Big Ten, and what did he introduce? You said it just a couple of weeks ago into the recruiting realm, going in and talking to players that were already committed when the Big Ten never did that before. So is it shocking that when he went to Ohio State, all of a sudden, here's a national title? No, it's not. Is it so amazing to people that in 2006 with a Tommy Tuberville team where he'd rather go hunting and an Alabama team with Mike Shula at the helm and Mark Richt doing whatever he was doing, I don't even understand. But is it shocking that Urban Meyer was able to put together something and win a national title or two? All he had to do was just get by Les Miles, and he did that.
Well, yeah, but if you have murderers and stuff on your team, you can do that.
Well, yeah, you can absolutely do it with that.
Because
everybody's afraid to play you.
We need to do an entire episode one day on the 2008 Florida Gators because
that would
good
be
God,
that'll be a fun summer.
People forget about that team as that was the team that Thibodeau led them to. The insanity on that football team, holy crap!
No, that will be a fun expose episode that we do.
Oh my gosh.
So no, I think of, and don't get me wrong, from what you just said, is an ultimate opportunist possibility for Urban Meyer to sneak in one more. Here's the thing: Urban wants to be the greatest coach that's ever coached, and that's Nick Saban. It just is. I don't like it.
But Urban could be the first to win a national title at 3 schools. That could be your draw, and if there's a school you can do it, it's Texas.
It is.
Now, I think Texas, and I tell people around here all the time, there's an overinflated sense of self at Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there are kids in high school who don't remember Vince Young. Okay, they were 15 years old when Vince Young played in that Rose Bowl.
He's the bad Texans quarterback to them.
Well, not even that. I mean, those kids, the Rose Bowl is 15 years ago.
Gosh.
Okay?
Say that. I remember what I was doing that night.
Yeah, so kids are in high school, literally never saw Vince Young play football. Like, even a senior in high school was 3 years old. They don't have any remembrance of that. Okay? So, and Texas, before that, hadn't won a national title since 1970, I think 1970 or 1975, somewhere around there. Yeah. So, I mean, Darrell K. Royal was on the sidelines.
Yeah.
So, it was 1970, actually.
It was?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I just had this because I was having this conversation with some Texas fans the other day, and they were like, well, we can do this and that. I'm like, stop for a second. Since 1970, your program is equal to in national championships Colorado, BYU, Auburn, Pittsburgh, Georgia, a few others, Michigan. We can fast a few others in there. But a lot of teams that have, Georgia Tech, all the teams have won one title. That's Texas in the last 50 years.
Isn't it fun to think that
Washington was in that list?
Georgia Tech has won a national title
more recently
than Georgia.
So I know the potential Texas has. I get it. I live here. I know the university. I know the money. And there's great offensive high school talent here and great defensive back high school talent here. I question the line play here a lot. I see a lot of high school football. I really do question the defensive line play and ability to produce guys that need to play at the next level around here. But those other positions, you can play all day long. Dan Mullen, I think, is the right hire if they go that route.
I can agree with you, which is why, don't get me wrong, I was all for giggling at whatever you were going to say, but I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a great move.
And here's the other side of the conversation, because we always talk, is it Herman or Harbaugh? Does Harbaugh stay in Michigan, but just move about 45 minutes northeast?
You brought that up to me, and I was like, that's the most Lions thing to do.
But he's won at the NFL level. We know he can win in the NFL.
Well, yeah.
He went to the freaking Super Bowl.
Oh. Well, you're absolutely right. He's been able to do it at the Super Bowl level or at the NFL level and get there. You could possibly see it. I do have a bit of an update. Breaking news.
Okay.
Just got a text from a buddy of mine. And I've got this is a bad breaking news and then a possible holy crap breaking news.
Bring it.
So, breaking news as we transition to looking at this weekend's football games. Liberty and Coastal Carolina it looks like that one's not going to happen.
Oh, game day was going to be there.
Yeah.
It was one of our pick'em games. I will take it off the list.
Take it off the list. Liberty's football program. This is per ESPN, Chris Lowe. Liberty officials expect to know by Thursday if the Flames will be able to play in the game after conferring with medical officials. If Liberty is unable to play, here's where the good news possibly.
Who did Coastal pick up?
If Liberty is unable to play, sources have told ESPN that BYU and Coastal are nearing an agreement to play instead on Saturday at Brooks Stadium in Conway, South Carolina.
BYU wants that national exposure. I love it.
Baby.
There you go.
Oh, baby.
Honestly, I'd rather have that game. Make it happen.
If Malik Willis is out of the game, which that was going to be my play, and in fact, I
was going to take Coastal minus 11 because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I got it at minus 10, which I'm upset if the Liberty game doesn't happen because Coastal's going to run all over them.
Yeah.
But man, if I can get BYU Cougars,
let's do that.
Yeah, BYU only has one other game scheduled right now, and that's with San Diego State on the 12th, and hasn't played since the 21st.
Oh.
The Cougs are ranked 13th in the playoff, and that is your breaking news.
That would be amazing. I want that now. That's smart, though, too. BYU understands game day is going to be in Conway. I mean, honestly, they just got a better game out of it for game day. You get two teams.
And I wonder how much ESPN was like,
I bet they facilitated it.
I absolutely believe they would,
all right.
Which is the right move. But now we take a look at this weekend.
Let's take a look at this week. First, we'll look back at last week real fast. Drew, you went 4-1. I went 3-2, meaning we are deadlocked 34-24-1 this year against the spread. Upstate specials, you got a half point last week for picking Penn State. It wasn't a big enough line to get a full point, but we gave you a half point for it.
I should have teased that line and said Penn State -4, +4, given whatever. But whatever.
Whatever.
I'll take my half point.
We move on to this week, and we will start in the Sun Belt, since we just got done talking about the Sun Belt for a second, potential changes. The Ragin' Cajuns, ranked number 25 in the country, go on the road to Boone. They take on App State, a 2.5-point favorite at home are the Mountaineers.
Louisiana has I don't want to say fallen off because they're still
They only
8.
got one loss.
Yeah, they're still 8-1. We just haven't really heard about them since losing to that Coastal Carolina team. They're actually coming off of a 70-20 drubbing of UL Monroe. Meanwhile, App State, on the other hand, I mean, they also have dropped games to Marshall at the beginning of the season and then losing by 11 to Coastal Carolina, which I believe we both picked correctly 2 weeks ago. They're coming off of a big old drubbing of Troy, which, speaking, real quick side note, the Trojans have not.
Yeah, they have not looked good this year. No.
Like I thought they would. But I digress. I'm actually, this is not my upset special, but I'm actually going to go with the road team here. It is hard to go into the Rock and get a win, but I like where Billy Napier is. I like where this team is. I also hear that Billy, it's going to take a big old stick of Benjamins to get him out of Lafayette, to get him to Columbia, South Carolina.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm hearing big time, like,
he must be holding out for something. He must know, like, Eddie O might be on the hot seat down in Baton Rouge in the next year or so. He might be hanging on for that, which would be smart.
Either that or he thinks that Knoxville might be in play, and he might want to go up to Knoxville. I digress. I'll take Louisiana and give you the points. That'll be my money line play.
Let me give you two numbers here.
Okay.
50 and 35. It's a 50% chance of snow and 35 degrees. You know what Louisiana likes to do? Sling the ball.
Yeah, they do.
You know what's not really good to do in the snow? Sling the ball.
Yeah, that's right.
On a cold, snowy day.
Especially up on, as somebody who has been
at altitude.
Ugh.
Yeah.
You being a Denver person know exactly what Mile High does. Being on the Rock and watching a football game.
I'm going to take App State.
Okay. It's not a bad move.
I didn't think they looked bad against Coastal. Like, yeah, that was a double-digit football game, but that also included a pick six with 30 seconds to go, to cover the spread. App State was trying to make a final last-ditch comeback.
Mm-hmm.
They played pretty well against Coastal.
Yeah.
I'll take them at home. I think they come out with a win on this one, straight up. So
shout out to Adam Whitten and the Mountaineer Sports Radio Network.
I'll lay out the 2.5. All right. There's only a few good games this week, or even games that are remotely interesting. One of them happens to be Auburn. We're not picking them just because they're Auburn. It's a 7-point spread against the number 5 team in the country, going on the road to Auburn. We got to talk about it. Huh?
It looks very interesting.
To the layperson, I think it would be, right? To people who are going to need about 7 whiskeys to get through the game. God. Anyway, Texas A&M, 7-point favorites. Who you got?
Give me the Aggies. I know, just like I said before, and I've already played my hand on this one. Everything adds up to a Gus Malzahn special, and I know that's where you're going to go. And you're probably right. Which, if you are, I can't stand you because you have spoken it, just like Oprah said in The Secret. You have spoken it into the universe, and the universe made it so.
No, I just watched this dude for 8 years. I know.
I know. I have too, and I know that this is coming. I sat in the rain and watched this coming.
Yeah, we saw it
against this team.
Yeah, God, that was cold.
I know. But man, those jalapeno sausage balls were fantastic.
Yeah, sidebar, guys. If you ever go to a game at Texas A&M, there's like a meat store on campus there, a couple of blocks from the stadium. Yeah, I don't actually know the name of it, but
I don't care.
They sell these sausage balls where they take a jalapeno and they raise pigs and cattle and stuff on campus, and they slaughter them. It's part of it, right? They teach kids how to butcher and things like that. Well, if you want them, you can get Aggie balls, which are jalapenos hollowed out, stuffed with cheddar, encased in fresh ground sausage wrapped in bacon. Yep. And then you just throw that joker on the smoker for about an hour. Mm-hmm. It's special. It's real special, y'all.
It'll bring you closer to a spiritual guidance. That's what it can do.
I go there about once every 2 years for a football game, and I call ahead to have them put on reserve for me to make sure I can get them.
No, if you're ever needing to go somewhere that requires you to have a higher power, have one of those, and that'll put you close in touch with one.
That's good.
Oh man.
Anyway, you got A&M.
Yeah, I'll take the Aggies. I know Kellen Mond. I know Jimbo Fisher has only beaten Gus Malzahn once. It was only the biggest game in that particular series. I'll take A&M.
This is my upset special of the week.
Yep, I knew it was.
Yep. It's not because I have any faith that Auburn's any good.
No.
I just see this coming because I've watched Gus. I've watched him enough. As a home dog, Auburn typically plays pretty well under him. A&M's a better football team. There's no doubt in my mind. A&M was a better football team 2 years ago, and they somehow blew that game at Auburn. Arguably, A&M was a little better last year. They got waxed. Auburn may have been better last year. I don't know. It's debatable.
It's about half and half.
Yeah. This is just, if you've watched Gus long enough, when his back is against the wall, everybody's coming after him, he pulls one out of his hat. Always has.
Just say ass.
And
that's what he is.
And it's going to happen again. And thus the perpetual argument of do you get rid of him, or how do you get rid of a guy that's about to go 7-3 in the SEC with no practice in the offseason and everything like that?
Now, the funny part is going to be when he beats A&M but loses to Mississippi State next week.
That'd be hilarious. Oh, my God, I'd laugh so hard. Honestly, I want that to happen just so I can talk to Aggie fans around here and be like, dude, you lost to a school that just lost to South Carolina and Mississippi State in the same season. Congratulations.
Yep. War down.
Plus, my favorite stat to mess with Aggie fans.
Oh, okay.
Drew, do you know the last time the Texas A&M Aggies finished in the top 4 of any major sport, football, basketball, or baseball, men's sport?
Oh, you did this to me a couple of weeks ago, and I went, that can't be right.
It was when they won the national championship in football back in 1939.
Oh.
Think of how many College World Series they've been to. Never, or even the Final Four, I think they made once. No, maybe not, actually. No. So, yeah.
But they have been to Omaha. That's a good baseball program.
They're close.
Yeah.
They're 5. They're number 5. But the Aggies will find a way. The Aggies will find a way to trip over themselves. Auburn wins this game straight up.
You're calling Texas A&M the Atlanta Falcons of sports.
Kind of. I mean, they're like Icarus, right? Oh, no, not Icarus. Not Icarus. That's flew too close to the sun. Yeah, which one's the one that rolls the ball up the hill constantly and the ball just falls back on their head?
Oh,
I can't remember my Greek mythology, but that guy.
That one.
All right, to the Big 12 we go. Iowa State goes back home after a win at Texas. They're 6.5-point favorites, ranked number 9 in the country. They get a sneaky West Virginia team coming to town. West Virginia hasn't been playing bad, and Neil Brown's name starting to come up a little bit in Columbia, by the way.
You took my thunder. I was just about to say, a couple of weeks ago, we said now's the time when Neil Brown needs to begin to kind of make some waves. And since I said that, I did that, he's really done that. Neil has been able to turn it around. You're talking about a 5-3 West Virginia team.
Without a lot of talent.
Not a whole lot of talent at all. 2 weeks ago, dropped a game that they should have won against Texas. And if that happened, dropped a game that they
here right now.
No. If you lose to West Virginia, you're done. Lost a game that they should have beaten Texas Tech. And then the Oklahoma State game back when Oklahoma State was playing football. So I love Matt Campbell. I'm going to pick him to win, but I'm going to say kudos and flowers and everything else to Neil Brown, as it looks like he's finally figured out how to work this West Virginia team. Even though they're 5-3, that's still a sneaky 5-3. This is going to be I think it's going to be a closer. I'm going to take West Virginia in the points, but Iowa State wins.
This is another one where I could see an upset special. I got West Virginia. I think Iowa State probably wins this. I'm with you. I think this is about a 4-point football game.
Yeah, I think it's 3 points.
Feels right. That hook I love, 6.5. Mm-hmm. I think 6 could even be right in the number here.
Yep.
But I ain't gonna be shocked if West Virginia wins this football game.
I wouldn't be either. No, I don't. I would not either. And man, would that just mess up everything in the Big 12?
I mean, it's already screwed up, but that'd be hilarious. Yeah. Okay, final game we'll pick this week since the other one just got wiped out.
Well, and again, now what we can do...
We don't have a line, though. We don't have a line.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Right now, Liberty and Coastal is still on.
Well, we'll leave it off just in case. So don't get into that.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Okay. The only game this week between two ranked teams in the Big Ten, your soon-to-be Big Ten East champion Indiana Hoosiers, copyright. Mm-hmm. We're speaking things into existence with those 40-1 odds. They go on the road to Camp Randall to take on Wisconsin, and this is a big number. And I know Michael Penix is not playing.
Yeah.
Okay. But Wisconsin at 14, minus 14. That same Wisconsin team, the last time they took the field, that got waxed by Northwestern.
A whole 7, or what was this? It was something small.
Yeah, no, they lost 17-7 to Northwestern.
There it is. I thought it was.
And Indiana's backup quarterback, by the way, he was an Elite 11 QB in high school. He's not a chump.
No.
Dude can play. 14 just seems way too big to me because I'm taking Indiana.
So you're taking them straight up?
I don't know about straight up, but I'm taking a team.
Okay. No, you're absolutely right because I think this is also like a 6-point game, 4-point game, somewhere around in there. I think Wisconsin wins. I like the way Indiana's defense sort of plays. Like, I don't know if it works without Penix because they kind of bend but don't break. They're very 2010 Auburnish. Give up some points, get stops when they absolutely have to have them. I mean, just go back and look at that Ohio State game. Remember, that was a 35-7 game at one point, and the final was 42-35. A pick 6 is the only points that they gave up, literally in the second half. So this is a defense that can figure things out. So I agree with you. I think Wisconsin wins this game, but give me Indiana in those points. Whew.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Tuttle last week came in, 5 for 5 after Penix went out, 31 yards. He doesn't have the movement that Penix has, but Maryland's a little better than people probably want to give them credit for. Indiana still won that game by 16 last week.
Yep.
Last time I saw Wisconsin, they looked awful.
They
just looked awful.
Real bad.
And I think Wisconsin's already been eliminated from Big Ten championship contention, right? Because of how many games they've had canceled.
Yeah, I think
they're out.
They're only going to be able to get 5, I believe.
So Northwestern's in the driver's seat for the Big Ten championship. So we are potentially looking at Indiana versus Northwestern in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Which, dear God, let that happen. I will go buy all the Indiana merchandise and be the biggest IU fan you've ever seen for a day.
All the Indiana.
I got nothing against you, Pat Fitzgerald. I got nothing against you, Evanston. You got a beautiful campus. Man, 40-1.
That's a lot of money.
40-1, man. 40-1.
So for my upset special, I'm actually going to take Michigan State.
Over Ohio State.
I am. I'm going to take 3. I don't know. And is it okay if I pick that one, but if it gets canceled, I get to pick another one? Because I can do that right now, too.
Sure.
Okay. Then in that case, so I'm just going to go with it and pick Michigan State to beat the literally 1865 rec league team of Ohio State. Because I really do believe that Ryan Day will just pick some yokels out from campus. and dress them in. And in his case, just pray that Justin Fields can play. But if that game does get bagged, and Indiana wins the Big Ten outright, or wins the Big Ten leaders, legends, whichever division, on Saturday, I'm going to go back to the well. They didn't do it for me last time. They're going to do it again for me this time. Give me Rutgers plus 11 at home against the Penn State Nittany Lions.
Ooh.
I don't understand how big that line is with Penn State just with one win and looking against Michigan, which, of course, gets you a 10-point win in Ann Arbor. Give me the
transitive property. They've got a 14-point win over Rutgers, right?
This is true. All those in 3 overtimes.
Yeah. I like that, actually. I might.
So I'm going to take.
Actually,
I'll
Michigan State Rutgers on a parlay sounds good, actually, right now.
I mean, look at those odds.
Yeah.
Because even if the parlay gets banged, you still got Rutgers and Penn State that's going to play.
It's a good. That's a good idea.
Thank you very much, sir. Also, Michigan and Maryland is. Oh, that got canceled. Never mind.
Yeah, Michigan's already canceled everything.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. I was about to say -5 for Michigan. Woo!
Any final thoughts from you, sir?
No. Just I'm very excited about this Coastal situation.
I really want BYU now.
I really want that BYU game to happen. As much as I would love to see Liberty play them, without Malik Willis, that's not a football game.
Well, and here's the deal. Saturday night, there's rumors floating around that Alabama-LSU may not happen. LSU's having problems again with COVID. Yeah, I've seen that rumor float.
Shocking. Wow.
But if that happens, there ain't anything on Saturday night that I really care about watching.
So could you punt? Because right now the Coastal Liberty.
It wouldn't be on CBS.
No, it would. Right now, Coastal Liberty is on ESPNU at 1. Could you punt that? And
well, so the Saturday night's supposed to be CBS for Bama and LSU, but I'm trying to figure out what the ESPN
game is Oregon and Cal.
Oregon and Cal, which they're not going to punt off.
You could.
I would find a time. Yeah, I would find a time slot in there that makes sense because that game to me would immediately be the most fascinating game of the day.
Absolutely.
Or really be smart and play it Sunday.
Now you already have.
Oh, they can't play it Sunday. It's BYU. It's BYU. They can't play Sunday.
Yeah, and they can't play on Sunday. You're absolutely right. Plus, we already have a game on Sunday night. If you did not know, the Cougs of Washington State play Pac-12 Sunday late night against the USC Trojans.
That game after the NFL game?
It's a 6:30 kickoff.
Oh gosh, it kicks off like 30 minutes before the NFL game.
On the FS1.
Nobody's going to watch that.
Well, I will. Wait, what's the NFL game this week?
It doesn't matter. It's the NFL. It's not going to...
Let's see real quick.
I love college football, but I also
I'm
know how people watch TV.
Oh, my gosh. What do you mean you don't know? It's Denver and Kansas City.
They put that on that Sunday night game? There's no way they made that the Sunday night game. You got to be kidding me.
Oh.
As a Broncos fan, that is hilarious. Why would you do that?
Do you guys have a quarterback?
Well, yeah, everybody's back and got fined. Oh, you know what happened? I know what happened. I think it was going to be Cowboys-Ravens, and they got flexed to Tuesday.
That's right, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Because that happened, it was either going to be Cowboys-Ravens or like Bills-Niners or something like that. But because that happened.
The football team in Pittsburgh. Because they got flexed to Monday. And that right now, that one doesn't have TV. So it was going to be Buffalo and San Francisco on Monday night.
Got it.
Um,
Something happened with all the scheduling that they had to just pick up a game.
I think you're right, though. I think it was supposed to be Dallas and Baltimore.
NFL said, we'll give you Pat Mahomes. So, it's going to be a murder, but you'll get Pat Mahomes, so enjoy that.
I'll be watching the Cougs and the Trojans, personally.
It's going to be bad.
After I get to watch the Saints and their third-string quarterback beat my Falcons.
Hey, you know what? My favorite, by the way, Cyber, I know we're talking NFL now and we're running over time. I don't care. My favorite thing that came out of the NFL last week was the Saints all over Twitter bragging about how great their defense is now, which they've been playing great defensive football for weeks.
Yeah.
But they're number one ranked defense now in the NFL after playing a quarterback who threw more interceptions than completions.
That is correct.
Because he's not a quarterback.
And I can't remember the text that I sent you, but it was the first time since God knows when that a team has only completed one pass during a game.
So, two things that were just hilarious to me about that game. Well, that's not even one of them. At one point, the Broncos had 0 yards passing in the second quarter.
Yeah.
That was 9 more than the Saints had. Two, despite all that ineptitude at quarterback that was on the field Sunday, Jameis Winston couldn't get on the field.
Nope. No, he could not. No crab legs for you, sir.
And with that, we'll leave you guys be. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of Friends of the Program podcast. Don't forget, you can always follow us again on Twitter at FOT Podcast, same on Instagram at FOT Podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube at Friends of the Program. Just go search us. Yeah, just go search us on Friends of the Program there. Same for Spotify or iTunes, however you like to get your podcast. For Jeremy Kraken, I'm Brad Tillery. Appreciate you guys joining us. We'll talk to you again. Enjoy some inept football this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully we get Coastal and BYU.
Yeah, hopefully we get some Mormons in South Carolina. Woohoo!
Let's do it.